Welcome to another episode of The More You Know, and today we're bringing you 9 times the coronavirus pandemic was seemingly predicted, and not just by field experts. Today's episode features surprising predictions made by business philanthropists, self-proclaimed psychics, and even a 90s episode of The Simpsons. If you're up for a shocking prediction made by a 16th century physician in a poem, then you'll definitely want to stick through number 1, because the mysterious accuracy with which this writer predicted the pandemic will blow your mind. Alright, let's get started. Number 9. Bill Gates has been warning us for years. In a 2015 TED Talk, Bill Gates stated that the world was not ready for the next epidemic. In another 2018 discussion about epidemics, the Windows philanthropist presented a simulation by the Institute for Disease Modeling, which found that a new flu, like the Spanish influenza that killed 50 million people in 1918, could potentially kill 30 million people within 6 months. Gates predicted this level of pandemic could happen within the next decade. He said that the likelihood that such a disease will appear continues to rise in our interconnected world, whether it happens naturally or is created as a weaponized disease. He urged listeners that the world needs to prepare for pandemics in the same serious way it prepares for war. In the case of biological threats, that sense of urgency is lacking. If you think Bill's foresight is scary, wait until you hear the shocking 500-year-old prediction made at number 1. Number 8. The Simpsons predicted self-isolation. Kicking off this list is a prediction made by the Simpsons, who have built up quite the reputation for foreshadowing major world events, including 9/11 and Donald Trump's election. Fans claim an early 90s Simpsons episode may have predicted the virus well ahead of most experts. The episode follows a plot in which the characters do deal with an outbreak of the fictional Osaku flu, a pandemic originating in Eastern Asia. Another fan claims that another 1999 episode may have predicted self-isolation when Simpsons news anchor reports to the residents of Springfield, "This is Kent Brockman reporting from my own home in accordance with a new curfew for anyone under 70. Some say this moment profaces British newsreader Krishan Guru Murthy's fate 20 years ahead, who at 49 years old similarly presented the news from his own living area while in self-isolation. Alright, so despite the uncanny similarities between Krishan and Kent, The Simpsons didn't quite predict the virus with the same level of detail as it had been done in the past, but we'll leave it up to you to decide. Number 7. Robert G Webster, virologist and flu expert. In similar fashion to Mr. Gates, virologist and flu expert Robert G Walter questioned in his book Flu Hunter: Unlocking the Secrets of a Virus whether another deadly disruptive pandemic was possible. The answer is yes. It is not only possible, it is just a matter of time, he wrote. He wrote, "Nature will eventually again challenge mankind with an equivalent of the 1918 influenza virus, and predicted millions of people could die before such a pandemic is controlled or modified. We need to be prepared," he added. Number 6. Sylvia Browne, self-proclaimed psychic. Psychics have an eerie way of making predictions that make us seriously question the validity of their claims. What's scary though is when they're freakishly true. In her 2008 book, End of Days, Predictions and Prophecies About the End of the World, self-proclaimed psychic Sylvia Browne wrote, "In around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments." And while scientific paranormal investigator Benjamin Radford pointed out that COVID-19 can lead to pneumonia, it's not a severe pneumonia-like illness. This prediction still kind of sounds shockingly accurate. However, the psychic also wrote that the illness will have suddenly vanished as quickly as it arrived, which doesn't seem as realistic seeing where we are with the virus. Whether she's playing a guessing game or is in fact a true psychic, Browne has since passed away, so there's no way of asking her. Number 5. The US intelligence team. If you're not too fond of psychic predictions, you may instead place your trust in cold hard numbers and facts provided by, say, the US intelligence team. In 2018, the intelligence community's worldwide threat assessment warned that a novel strain of virulent microbe that is easily transmissible between humans continues to be a major threat. The US's 2019 threat assessment continued to warn that the United States and the world will remain vulnerable to the next flu pandemic or large-scale outbreak of a contagious disease that could lead to massive rates of deaths and disability, severely affect the world economy, strain international resources, and increase calls of the United States for support. Sounds like a pretty accurate assessment if you ask us. Number 4. Dean Koontz predicted the corona in a 1981 novel. Conspiracy novelist Dean Koontz made a striking prediction in his 1981 novel The Eyes of Darkness, where he fictionalized a deadly virus he called Wuhan 400, the city in China where the novel coronavirus originated almost 40 years later. But as shocking as the fictional prediction may seem, Harmeet Kaur from CNN has debunked Koontz's theory, pointing out the differences between the real coronavirus and Wuhan 400. In his book, Koontz said that the virus was a significantly engineered bioweapon with a 100% mortality rate. Both of those things are definitely not true of the real coronavirus. Nonetheless, it's pretty crazy how the author was spot on about the virus's originating location. Well done, Koontz. Number 3. Jeremy Condon. former director of the USAID. And onto perhaps a more reputable source, former director of the United States Agency of International Development, Jeremy Condon, predicted in a 2017 article that a major new global health crisis is a question of when, not if. Along with virology experts and Bill Gates, he too warned that at some point a highly fatal, highly contagious virus will emerge, like the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, which infected 1/3 of the world's population and killed around 50 in 100 million people, adding that President Trump is unprepared for such a pandemic. And while the world looks nothing like it did in 1918 and research on the new coronavirus is still in its beginning stages, Bill Gates wrote in the New England Journal of Medicine that COVID-19 has started behaving a lot like the once-in-a-century pathogen that we've been worried about, lending further credibility to Condon's predictions. Number 2, Massachusetts public health officials. Where better to gather your facts than from those on the forefront of such epidemics? In the 2006 flu pandemic preparedness plan, Massachusetts public health officials predicted that as many as 2 million people could become ill from a new strain of virus. Based on the models developed by the American CDC, they projected that up to 1 million people in the state would need to be treated on an outpatient basis and 80,000 critical cases would need inbound hospital treatment. Because the hospital system could be overwhelmed by patients infected with the disease, up to 20,000 could die according to their projections. In planning for the future, these experts pretty closely predicted the kind of outcome we're dealing with today. And while we're thankfully not at 2 million infected in Massachusetts alone, the ratio of self-quarantine patients to critical hospital cases bears striking resemblance to the one predicted by these public health officials. Number 1, Nostradamus, the famous 16th century physician. Finally, at the top of our list is an eerie prediction found in the 16th century poem by physician, astrologer, and self-proclaimed seer Michael de Nostradam, also known as Nostradamus. In a collection of nearly 1,000 poetic quatrains known as the Prophecies, the author attempts to predict the future. One of his poems reads, "The sloping park, great calamity. Through the lands of the west and Lombardy. The fire in the ship, plague and captivity. Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading." A Twitter user speculated that the words plague and captivity symbolize the coronavirus and its resulting lockdown. He added that the lands of the west and Lombardy refer to Europe, Australasia, America, and the region of Lombardy, known as Italy today. And while some people believe that Nostradamus has accurately predicted events in the past, these claims may as well just be pure speculation. However, perhaps a more convincing prediction can be found in Nostradamus' last line, Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading, which the user claims is an astrological reference to the beginning of January 23rd and 24th in 2020. Wuhan was placed under strict quarantine on exactly January 23rd. Thanks for watching the 9 times the coronavirus was predicted way ahead of its time. Which prediction did you guys find the most accurate? The 90 Simpsons episodes or the well-educated guesses made by professionals in the field? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy shocking predictions and the odd conspiracy theory, you will love our other video about the most scary viruses worse than COVID-19. Thanks for watching this episode of The More You Know, and we'll see you on the next one.